Okay, guys. So now let's try and download the data and assume that we are focusing on banks. So remember, first you have to be in the screener window. If you don't remember how to be here, please go back and check my first video, how to access screener window in Refinitiv Econ database. And when we are here, check in your left that you have the settings all correct. The currency normally is better to keep it in US dollar. You should be in the public companies universe because there are so many different other universe which will take you to different type of data. So always good to be in the public companies if you are planning to download listed company data. So what you can do is just you can go for the TRBC industry name, click add, then over here you can just select the industry that you want. Remember, Refinitiv cannot show you more than 5,000 companies at a time. So it's if you select everything, it will be quite difficult. And the more rows you add, the more pressure it will put on the data. So sometimes if you have too many things in this screen here, in the main window where all the data will appear, if you have too many things, when you try to download, it will break and will give like give you that an error or something. Yeah. So we are going to TRBC industry name. We will go to financials, banking, banking service, banks. We're just focusing on commercial banks. And here we are. It's taking some time. So remember, the more companies you select, the more time it will take the Refinitiv database to download this data. You also have the option to install the Excel function in the Microsoft Excel, but I find that that is useful if you have it gives you some codes that you can just refresh, but I throughout the times I feel that these things using the website is much faster for me. But it's up to you, whichever you feel is comfortable. So we are over here. As you remember, we have to be in the add column launch data item library, and you can add whatever data you want. So let's assume that we want for bank, we are looking for the financial information, for example. Yeah, here we are, company fundamentals. And let's have a look at the ratio and analytics. Let's go for fundamentals. So let's go for ratio analytics cross statements. And over here, it gives you some information which are cross statements. So for example, you are looking at return on average common equity. If you want to select this, and the next thing it gives you the option to add, but always remember that if you add this, you might get data for only 1 year, the recent year. If you want data for previous years, it's better to close this. And on the right, you see this checkbox series. You have to click this, and then you will see this appears. It shows last, then this is the area where you can determine how many year or month, because whether you are going to get yearly data or monthly data depends on this drop down box where you can look at the options you have. For example, fiscal year, semi-annual, quarter, interim. So whatever time series that you want to go for, you can select from here. So I want for the fiscal year, so I am selecting this and assuming that you need data for the last what do you say 10 years. So this will give you return on average common equity data for the last 10 fiscal year. And when it will display the data, it will be from newest data to the oldest. Now, financial period FY0. What does it mean? You can click on this question mark. Uh, so FY0, it is the fiscal year based on the last reported year. So then you have the previous year, and it follows like this. So the last reported year will appear first, and then the older one will follow. So if I now click on add, now this will be giving you 10 year of data. But if you don't do this adjustment and just click on add, then you are not going to get 10 or 5, whatever year, you're just going to get 1 year. For example, if we go to the next one, you see this is not naive. This does not become by default. So you have to do this for every single one of them. Fiscal year, and then if I click OK, this is now going to fetch the data for me. And you can see that this is showing NA, NA indicating that there is no data under this variable. So don't worry, we will find it. So we're going to go back because Refinitiv have so many different places where they store this information different way. So we're going to go back again. Let's try, let's see. If I just write here, so one thing you can do is return on asset, for example, and then it will try to find out. So it's now trying to search it from the balance sheet, but what we can do is click on the top match, and here it is showing me the return on asset data. And if I want to know where it is getting it from, it is getting it from the Refinitiv IBES estimates. Okay, that is where it is getting this data from. So now same thing, I can click on this 10-year, click add. We can also go for equity. Sure. Let's see if we can get this data now. Okay. Yeah. So now you can see you have the data for this 1,968 banks. However, uh, you will not be able to get data for all banks or all firms for all year because not every company report or Refinitiv is able to provide you data for every company for every single year, and that creates the issue of missing values, and this is very common for any database. But here it is. Here you have the data, and this is the same procedure you just have to follow. You just have to navigate through. That's because that is where we are getting all this information are coming from here. All the financials are coming from here in this actuals, and you see all the revenue, gross profit, operating profit, net income, all this information are coming from here. If you want governance information, it is under the ESG window. For example, you need to know the board size probably. Mm, Here you have the audit committee, board structure, um, external consultants, all these things, board attendance, board size. So if I click on here, board size, same procedure. Just need to keep on adding this information. As you can add, you can also delete. So if you find that some variable you have chosen it's not correct and you need to change it, you just delete it and go back and take it again. So as I mentioned, if you do not, for example, if I go back to the ESG and you are here, you are looking at emission, for example, and you are looking at, let's see, greenhouse emission. And if you don't do anything, just click on add. and click OK, you are going to just see for the latest year, just to highlight. This is the difference. If you do not change on the right segment, how many, do not click on series, you are not going to see the series that you have specified. So it will give you just 1 year information. And as I'm showing you, going back and clicking, okay, another thing, it will show you the recently used. So if you just want to quickly see what are the items you recently used in the data screen. But it's not necessary that you have to do one by one. You can select multiple one. So for example, if I go back here, tools, so I can choose multiple items actually. For example, if you are looking at this EBITDA, you just keep on adding. Then dividend per share, 10. So you can click on adding, but as I mentioned, you have to be careful that do not bring so much data into this structure at one time. Otherwise, you will break and you will see an error, or you will not be able to download any of it. So if you are in the process to download a lot of information, do it step by step in multiple stages. So once you have all the data that you need, what you can do is you have several options. You have these advanced settings. If you do this, you can do some sort. You can have a summary of the row. But what we are more interested in is this. You can export these data as values or export it as a formula. So the formula is good so that it will give you the data with the code. And if you change something within the code, it will refresh. If you have new firms, new information, it will just help you refresh. But for that, you have to have the Excel add-in installed in your Microsoft Excel. If you don't have, then just explore everything as a value, and Excel will just open it. You can see this is the downloaded version of the Excel. Is all the information that you need are over here. You have the identifier, that is RIC code, the company name, the industry name, it is by default. Then you have the 10-year information. So this is the latest year of the reported data, and you have the variable names, all are here. However, if you are planning to use this in a Stata software, you cannot use these because this is not in a panel format. So you have to work on it and convert this data into panel data, and then only you can use. So um, when you download anything from Refinitiv, it does not give you information in Stata usable format. And that is something, an additional work you have to do. Okay, so I think that's all for today. I hope that you find this video useful. If you need any clarification, just write something in the chat box. I'll be happy to uh, share my thoughts and will try my best to help you. And meanwhile, have a nice day. See you soon. Bye.